Hello, this is Rick Gray. I want to talk today a little bit about perspective. Sometimes it takes things in our lives, a major event, something that's traumatic, to remind us of how good we have it, right? Most of you watching this video can see you can walk, talk, communicate in some ways. You've got everything going for you. I remember one time working for Jim Rohn down in Southern California, actually. I was on the freeway one day and I was discouraged from a lack of sales and just feeling behind where I should be at that point. And I was kind of getting down on myself, and I was in my car and I looked over to my right and there was a lady walking down the sidewalk from the grocery store to her apartment building. You could tell it wasn't very far away. But she could barely walk, and she, had some crutches that were helping her along. She had her grocery bag strapped over her arms, her forearms, hanging on to like the crutches and moving literally, 1 or 2 miles an hour, just barely making it. And obviously she had some physical handicaps. And I looked at her, and it really hit me hard that day. In fact, I wrote in my journal about it at the time, about how what is my problem? I have everything going for me. I can see, I can communicate, I can read, I have passion, I have all this opportunity in front of me. I've got everything going for me, and I'm depressed and feeling down. It's like, what's the matter with me? And I need what's called perspective. That's what I needed at the time. Some of us out there, and some of you watching this right now, need to remember some perspective. So here's a good story. I was skydiving. This is between my sophomore and junior year in college. I went skydiving, and an interesting experience. The first time I went skydiving, I went static line. Some 4,000 feet was the jump. And we went through the 5-hour class to set up the jump. We talked about the video. We talked about what could happen when the chute opens. If it doesn't open all the way, what do you do to get it to open? We talked about bicycle kicking our legs to spin, to get the chute to open. And then hopefully none of that actually happens. So I remember going out that day. Actually, it was really windy, so we canceled it. And so the next weekend, I came back, and we actually went up for the jump. And I remember when I jumped, they tell you to arch your back and look up. There's a little clown smiley face sticker on the bottom of the wing of the Cessna that I jumped out of. You're supposed to look at that smiley face and arch your back. Of course, your natural instinct is to ball up, which is what I'm sure I did. But I let go and start falling. And then what I realized pretty soon is the chute didn't open all the way. One of those things we talked about in class. The slider, if you know anything about parachutes, the piece of material that slides up and it comes all the way down to the top of your risers, which is like your straps on your backpack, was twisted. So it wasn't allowing the chute to open. So we talked about that in the class, which is bicycle kick your legs, spin around, get it to open, and I did that. It did open, but only 7 of the 9 cells filled up. A new wing chute, the modern chutes they're not round, army parachutes. They're wings. There's 9 cells, but only 7 of them filled. But we talked about that. 7 was enough. That's enough to be safe. And I did a steering and controllability test, and everything seemed to work. Then I kind of relaxed. But I remember for a few seconds, it probably wasn't longer than just a few seconds, but it was very traumatic to me, and I remember it to this day, how thankful I was to be alive. Because at the time, you just don't know what's going to happen, right? And you start thinking about all the things in your life as it flashes before you, and why am I doing this now? And then when I landed on the ground safe on the earth, I was a junior in college at the time, and I remember everybody else was really stressed out about testing, about finals. If you know anything about colleges, a lot of people get sick the week after finals. It's sort of that decompress of all that stress that's going on. And I didn't have that. I was bulletproof for about 6 months. I didn't, paying bills, my car payment, having a job to pay my way through school and taking tests. None of that stuff stressed me out because I was happy to be alive. I always used to say this to myself all the time, am I going to die in this deal? If I'm not going to die in this deal, then it's not that stressful. I mean, how bad could it be? A final exam or tests or things that people typically stress about. So the point of this is perspective is really important. What I try and do, and I actually don't try, I do every year, is I go back and I read my journals, because I talked about that skydiving experiment, skydiving jump, in my journal, the experience itself. And I read my old journals and I try and relive those emotions to set myself up to be bulletproof again, to not stress about the small stuff, right? Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. There's a great little book written called that. It all takes perspective. There's things going on in your life that are probably troubling you right now, that are stressing you out, and in the grand scheme of things, you have everything going for you. You can figure it out, and you can be successful, and you can get past this. So don't let the small things stop you, and make sure you have perspective in your life. Have a great day.